gotta be honest with you, it is a dream of every park ranger to get to work in Alaska, even if it's just for one season. But then what happens is that you kind of get addicted. You really want to come back again and again because there's just so much to see. I feel so lucky that we have Alaska as a part of the United States of America because everything is different here. It's all so unique.
Experiencing, you know, that quietness, that solitude, it's almost like meditation. You know, trying not to disturb the nature that you're in, but just try to be, you know, one with it.
So if you want to see something where the animals are different, the plants are different, this is the place. You're not going to see anything in North America like this. That's what really makes Alaska so amazing, is that each national park is so large, we can get entire intact ecosystems. I mean, you've got all this amazing wildlife, amazing vistas, incredible glaciers.
We have glaciers the size of states. The Malaspina Glacier is the size of the state of Rhode Island.
For me as a climber, there's very few places left on this earth where I can experience the rawness and the wildness. You fly from Talkeetna, you know, in the flatlands. In 1 hour you're at base camp on the Kehiltna Glacier at 7,020-foot elevation. And you're right in the shadow of the north face of Mount Hunter that rises there almost 8,000 feet above you. And there's this constant sound of thunder, avalanches roaring down. Certainly for me it's quite a humbling place because we quickly realize just how small we are in the larger scheme of things.
It just always draws your attention. I mean, 43 years and we still have to look.
Folks literally say when we're flying between canyons and stuff, they say, I can feel like I can just reach out there and touch that mountain. Growing up in Fairbanks, once I took off out of Fairbanks and headed north, you fly about 10 miles and then there's nothing but wilderness.
Our regions go from, you know, frozen tundra down to temperate rainforest, down to the Aleutian Islands, to the central part of Alaska where it can get, you know, 80 below zero and 100 degrees above zero. Oh, another thing too is come in the wintertime. That's cool too. Wintertime in Alaska, all the rivers are frozen. You can travel on our river systems with snow machine and or car.
I like the idea that I can go out into the backcountry of the park and not see another person for days.
It's kind of like you're hooked, you know. I mean, it is so much fun, and every trip that you take, is different. Like every one of my flights is a different flight.
Being Alaskan to me means being connected with everything that's around you. Being able to listen to that environment and to the people and to the animals with your entire body, with your ears, with your eyes.
Western man has only lived in Alaska for about 150 years, but people have lived in this part of the world for 10,000 years. Surviving in a place that gets 80 above in the summertime and 40 below in the wintertime with no metal tools, no modern convenience.
But we were just so busy surviving that we didn't really think about much.
So we spend most of our summer preparing for winter. You know, we're splitting wood, we're vacuum sealing salmon, we're picking berries.
We baked bread out in the yard and washed clothes on the board, and melted snow, all of the things that you have to do to survive.
It's very important for us to continue our languages and our cultures and our customs and our traditions and our values, because this is where they started, this is where they'll continue, and this is where they'll end. You know, we're very diverse. We have, 11 different cultures. You know, when you say Alaska Native, it's like saying European. I mean, we're very diverse and very distinct. You wouldn't confuse a German with a Frenchman. And so just like you wouldn't confuse someone who's Dene with someone who's Yupik.
Whether it be Native Alaskan or just folks who've moved up to Alaska, first, second, third generation, these people live a very unique lifestyle.
Basically, in 200 years, we have gone from a hunting and gathering economy to running multi-million-dollar corporations and organizations. So we're fast learners. My dad had always told me, people live the way land tells them to, and they follow the rhythm of the water that they're nearest. And I didn't really appreciate that. I didn't understand until I moved to Anchorage and my lifestyle completely changed. The pace was different, my speaking style was different, everything was different. And when I understood how diverse we were as people here in Alaska, that made perfect sense.
Winter, here's my mom running out in the yard, 2 metal buckets, filling them with snow. That's what fits on a barrel stove. Melting snow. 4, a cow, all those kids, bathing, everything. The people here do what they do. They don't retire. They have a lifestyle. They live it till their last day. My parents were living on a rented farm in South Dakota. They already had 4 kids. They could see it's not going to happen. So they auctioned everything they owned off and waved goodbye and came up here.
A lot of the homesteaders went into town, into the city in the wintertime and got jobs and apartments and stuff, because you only had to live here 7 months out of the year. But we came from a ranch and a farm, and we didn't know how to go to a city. We didn't know how to find a job or a place to live, so we lived here 12 months out of the year.
He got a job milking cows. I finally asked my mom, where do we put the trailer? She said, we pulled it out into a cow pasture where your dad worked, and we camped in it for a year. They really went much farther than I would have ever dreamed people would do for their kids. Anything happened in this community, all the kids went too. You were never left home with the babysitters. I've done the same thing ever since. Every occasion that there is, we have a big party at our house. Everybody that likes kids is welcome to come.
And a lot of times there weren't very many other people here, just us and a couple other people. But that's a lot of family time where you really, you just live with each other 24 hours a day all the time. A way to raise your kids that was easier than living where there's a lot of other influences. I mean, you can brainwash them. It's just a different way of life, and it's a way of life that we've gotten used to, and it's just hard to think of living another way.
What we have done is we invite people to come to my mom's house, and it's been really fun for people that want to know what people actually did in Alaska, how they lived out here, how they made it work. We invite people out, I show them the gardens and all of that, and I give them the kids' perspective on growing up out here. Then we go in the house, Mom makes the best cookies ever, and you get to ask Mom about it because she has a totally different perspective. If you want to know how to shoot a moose and butcher it, maybe you don't want to know that, but she can tell you. Living here for so many years, there are so many people, I don't even know their last name. And you don't have to.
Like our kids, I think, and her kids when they were little, they weren't very old when they had done every type of traveling you could. They'd been on snow machines and boats and airplanes and trains, and everything there was to do they had done.
At that time, before the railroad was built, all the goods for Alaska had to be shipped on the rivers. There were no highways, there was no air cargo at the time. So my grandfather worked as a riverboat captain, hauling freight and supplies to the villages along the Yukon. When the railroad was built and that shipping kind of died, he continued as a riverboat captain, only he offered a tour. Instead of hauling freight, we now carry passengers, and we kind of give them that same experience. We try to recreate the experience of my grandfather and my great-grandfather when they came here during the gold rush.
I have my own drift boat. I have 4 boats, so well equipped for whatever comes my way. Going down through the canyon in the later part of the year on the raft and going fishing when there's nobody else out there. Kenai River is one of the most popular fishing streams and one of the most productive fishing streams in the state of Alaska. What draws people to the Kenai Peninsula.
On a really good day, I'll fly the de Havilland Beaver and maybe just fly a Cessna 185 for a trip, and then when I get off work, I hop in my Piper Super Cub. Those are the 3 premier Alaska preferred bush planes. I just flew all 3 of them in one day. That's a good day for me. lot of the folks, when we come back in off the glacier, whether we do a landing or not, say this is just the absolute highlight of their vacation.
I was with a friend in Colorado skiing, and he said, "John, would you like to have one of my dogs pull you on skis?" So I did. It was a wolf. His name was Bear. He was about a 100-pound black dog, eerie looking really. I was a little intimidated, but as soon as I got hooked up and he shot out in front of me and dragged me around all day on skis, I could not stop smiling. As a musher, we are needed to keep a neutral stance because the dogs know how we feel even if we don't say it.
Just like people, some people, they can handle anything. They just go, take it in stride, and just keep it going. That's the kind of dogs you want.
Mush is a German term meaning march. So they refer to us as marching or marshing our dogs.
Training is year-round, daily. You're always working with them, always doing stuff with them. I really enjoy being out on the trail, just out in the middle of nowhere with the dogs, and that's just you and the dogs, nothing else. We don't make them do this, they want to. They absolutely love to run, and they are our best friends. We do work with them every day. They get tons of attention. I think it's neat that people can get out here and see how excited the dogs are to go and just to see what they love to do.
They teach me something constantly. No 2 days are alike when you live with 18 dogs.
Dogs are just like people with their personalities, and when you train one dog, it's not always going to work to train the other dog. I'm planning on this winter running some 200 and 300 mile races to qualify for Iditarod, and then I am planning on running Iditarod hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years, but we'll see.
I'm in this for my dogs. I've designed a business to support my habit of dogs and spend my days traveling about the countryside. I'm a happy man, and I've lived every dream I've ever wanted.
The lifestyle is different than any other lifestyle. It's the dogs. That's your whole life revolves around the dogs. You've got to love the sport. It's a labor of love. We don't do this for the money at all.
There's not many places left in the world that have this amount of wild.
We live with wildlife every day, and it's a good thing.
We have the moose, the wolves that come in and out, the grizzly bears. Let's create a national park that would protect Dall sheep. So it was the first national park to protect wildlife specifically. The early park rangers here said, I'm here to protect Dall sheep. That's what the U.S. Congress said. We're going to live up to what the American people have asked us. You never know what you're going to see. And there's a lot of amazing small creatures, from the porcupines, the snowshoe hare, the marmots. 90-mile road in there, and it's just an amazing amount of wildlife.
today, when I see a moose alongside the road, I have to stop and look at it myself like it's the first one I ever saw.
The heart of Alaska would be pretty much anywhere and any time you can get off the road. A lot of it is untouched, and that's pretty neat to see because there's not a lot left out in the world that's untouched.
Kind of different creatures as we've built buildings and roads, and this is a place you can go and get away from all that.
Ecosystem, the glaciers, the animals, everything is so different here.
I can walk from my house just maybe 300 yards or so, and I'm in the open tundra.
Alaska is huge. If you put it on a map of the lower 48, it stretches almost from one coast to the other. What I would like to see is places like this continue to be protected.
You look around you and you have a 360-degree perspective of the sky, and the stars are so bright.
I think the more people that come to places like this, the more information we can get out to people, the more they'll feel like it's important to them.
I just feel honored to be a park ranger. I feel I'm one of the luckiest people in the world.
The best thing about it is you will, no matter where you go, you will always find people that live there that will tell you about it, that will take you out there to do it.
If you're an American, how can you miss this corner of your wonderful country?
Alaska gives you the chance to get out and see wildlife and walk on glaciers and trek into places that maybe no person has ever been before.